Let us chant from verses 6 to 15 of chapter 6. Bandhuratmatmanastasya yenatmaivatmana jitah anatmanastu shatrutve vartetatmaiva shatruvat jitatmanah prashantasya Paramatma samahitaha Shitoshna sukha dukkeshu Tatha manapamanayoho Jnana vijnana triptatma Kutasto vijitendriyaha Yukta yutyuchyate yogi Samaloštashma kanchanaha Suhran mitra yudhasena Madhyastadveshya bandhusho Sadhushvapi cha papesho Samabuddhir vishishyate Yogi yunjita satatam Atmanam rahasistitaha Ekakiyata chittatma Nirashira parigraha Shuchau deshe pratisthapya Stiramasanamatmanaha Natyuchritam nati nicham Chailajina kushotaram Tatraikagram manah kritva Yata chittendriya kriyaha Upavishyasane yunjyad Yogamatma vishuddhaye Samam kahya shiro grivam Dharayan nachalam stiraha Samprechya nasikagram swam Deshascha navalokayan Prashantatma vigadhabhihi Brahmachari vrite stitaha Manas samyam yamachittaha Yukta asita matparaha Yunjannevam sadatmanam Yogi niyatamaanasaha Shantim nirvana paramam Masanstam adhigacchati.
Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamustu Mavi Vishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We continue with verse number 8 onwards.
Jnana vijnana triptatma Kutastho vijitendriyaha Yukta hityuchyate yogi Samaloštashma kanchanaha Jnana vijnana triptatma Kutastho vijitendriyaha Yukta hityuchyate yogi Samaloštashma kanchanaha.
The yogi who is satisfied with knowledge and wisdom, who remains unshaken, who has conquered the senses, to whom a lump of earth, stone, and gold are the same, is said to be a realized one. Iti uchyate is said to be. Said by whom? Said by the great masters, said by the Shastras, that this person is a perfect human being, a realized human being. The yogi is a realized one. First, is satisfied with knowledge and wisdom, who remains unshaken, who has conquered the senses, to whom a lump of earth, stone, and gold are the same. Obviously, earth, stone, and gold are not the same. He has to be so ignorant that he doesn't even know the difference between the two. So you can give him a charcoal and take his diamond away. No, that's what he says. And he says, earth, stone, and gold are one and the same. They are not one and the same. And yet he says they are one and the same. So he is not talking about the obvious physical differences as one and the same. Obvious. That is too obvious. And yet what is he saying? Earth, stone, gold, you get attracted to any one of it, or you have an exaggerated value, a black market value for it, because you are not able to see the dosha in it. Elsewhere, he said, Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadi, Dukkha, Dosha, Anudarshanam. A person who has this ability to see the dosha in it, the moment you see the dosha in it, the defect in it, you will not be so attracted to it. You are attracted to things because you are not able to see the dosha. Dosha means not the horoscope dosha. Dosha literally means defect. When you see the limitations, defect means, dosha means the limitations. When you understand the limitations, from the standpoint of limitations, stone, earth, gold, all are the same. At the transactional level, there is a difference. Even though a science teacher will teach you, that diamond is also carbon, charcoal is also carbon, she will not take the charcoal and give the diamond away. You can't tell her both are carbon. No, I will give you one carbon, you give me another carbon. So you keep the charcoal, I keep the diamond. She'll say you are mad, you are insane. So what he means as same is, in the transactional level, what in Sanskrit we call as Vyavaharika level, differences exist. At the transactional level, differences do exist. Vedanta fully accepts it. Vedanta says they exist and you cannot do anything about it. The problem is not with the transactional level differences. The problem is the exaggerated value that you give to it. The exaggerated value that you give to it is what knowledge removes. And how do you give an exaggerated value to it? You are not able to see the defect. See, when you are attracted to something, when you are so much obsessed with something, you can never see the You can never see the limitation. You can never see the defect. That is the that is the pain of obsession. When you are obsessed with anything, that is why all human beings are obsessed with something or the other, and you cannot talk to anybody. Why? In their area of obsession, they would not be able to see their limitations. Seeing the limitation is seeing stone, earth, gold are all the same. If you understand it in that way, then what he says makes sense. If you take it literally, what he says doesn't make sense at all. And most of the things in Vedanta you cannot take literally, because it says you are all pervading. You are not even room pervading. Where can you be? How can you be all pervading? So obviously then when they say you, they don't mean the body. So you can't ask how am I all pervading? You can't look at your body and ask how am I all pervading? If you have taken the body to be you, then definitely you are not all pervading. If you have taken the mind to be you, definitely you are not all pervading. If you have taken the intellect to be you, then definitely you are not all pervading. So combination of body, mind, intellect can never be all pervading. So when they say you are all pervading, obviously they don't mean the body, mind, intellect. Something different from that. So you need to know that. Similarly, when they say earth, gold, and what is this thing? Earth, stone, and gold are one and the same. Definitely, I will not give my diamond and take your carbon. I will not do that. Even though I may be teaching, it is one and the same. What is the difference? It is at the Vyavaharika level, the differences do exist. Not to give that exaggerated value to it, you should be able to see the limitations. A person who is able to see that limitation becomes a wise person. A person who is able to see the limitations becomes a wise person. Here he is talking about realized one who has seen it. This is as far as to whom a lump of earth, stone, and gold are the same. From what angle they are the same? The end result they produce, the sorrow, the end result they produce, irrespective of their transactional differences, the end result sorrow they produce. In that way, they are the same. The earth, the gold, the stone, all produces sorrow. Why they produce sorrow? Not that they produce sorrow. You had an obsession, and because of your obsession, your values, your expectations were all totally wrong, and this causes sorrow. Anything that you are obsessed with, remember the law. You are obsessed to anything, you will not be able to see the dosha in it. Dosha means defect. Defect means limitations. Dosha means defect. Defect means limitations. Obsession blinds you to what? Obsession blinds you to the realities. What is the reality? Limitation is that reality. Obsession blinds you to the realities. And what is the reality? Not able to see the limitation. You will not be able to see the limitation. Not only you will not be able to see it, if somebody tells you there is the limitation, you will get angry at that person. Why? Why you will get angry? Because that person is interfering with your obsession. That's why everybody will pay respect to a master, but nobody will like the master. Everybody will pay respect to the master from the distance, They will prostrate and they will go away. But difficult to accept him. Why? Because he is constantly interfering with you. He is constantly interfering with your obsessions. He constantly points out your obsessions, and it is very painful. It's very frustrating. You would not want to hear that. You would not want to know about it. And yet he goes on saying the same thing. To whom a lump of earth, stone, and gold are the same. What makes it the same? Two wonderful words in this verse. Jnana, Vijnana. Two beautiful words. Knowledge and wisdom. He has knowledge. He has wisdom. In fact, he is able to do all this because he has knowledge and he has wisdom. When he says he has knowledge and wisdom, what it means, he has gone through the process sequentially. Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. He has gone through the process sequentially. That's why he says he has knowledge and wisdom. People ask, knowledge and all I don't have, sir. Straight away I have wisdom. No. From where will wisdom come without knowledge? It is the knowledge that digested turns into wisdom. So, knowledge and wisdom. Without this knowledge also, I can gain this wisdom, no, sir. If you can gain, if there is a method like that, I always say, please teach me also. I will also like to learn how to gain the wisdom without the knowledge. So, what is the difference between Jnanam and Vijnanam? These two words, Jnanam and Vijnanam, are so confusing because the meaning keeps on changing according to the context. It's two confusing words because you never have one meaning. In some context, Jnanam means information, Vijnanam means wisdom. In some context, Jnanam itself means Vijnanam. In some context, Jnanam itself means Vijnanam. So, what is knowledge and what is wisdom? Earlier, I didn't even know that there is this thing called consciousness. There is a thing called Brahman. I didn't even know that. Even the word thing is wrong. Huh? I didn't know that there is consciousness before. Now I know there is consciousness. That is Jnana. This is Jnana. I didn't know there is consciousness. Now I know there is consciousness. And this consciousness is a distinct principle which pervades, illumines my body, activates everything in life. This is Jnanam. And what is Vijnanam? I am the consciousness enlivening the body is Vijnanam. Knowing that there is consciousness is Jnanam. Recognizing that I am that consciousness is Vijnanam. In that way, lot of people have Jnanam, very few has Vijnanam. In that way, if you see, lot has, so many has. You come for this Vedanta classes for a few weeks, you will know. You will know the knowledge. After a while, you will think, okay, these people keep repeating the same thing again and again and again. Maybe they don't know anything. No. What is the difference between Jnanam and Vijnanam? There is this consciousness is jnanam. I am the consciousness is vijnanam. You able to follow? Jnanam is like the glasses you use to see. Jnanam is like these glasses. I have removed this glass. It's all so blurry. I don't know. Even with the glasses also, I'm not able to see who is who. I put the glasses. It is clear. This is jnana. With the aid of something, knowing through the aid of something is jnanam. With the glass or without glass, I know that I am here. This is vijnana. I don't need to have a glass to see. I don't need a glass to find out where I am, no? Do you? That is vijnana. Why? Because you know that you exist independent of the support of any instruments. You know that there. Jnana, vijnana, truptatma. Now read the verse. He's got that trupti from jnanam and vijnanam. Trupti means satisfaction. Yeah. Trupti means satisfaction, contentment. All that we are doing in life is for this trupta only. Trupti only. And the only way where you can get this trupti is through knowledge and wisdom. So beautifully he is using these two words, jnanam and vijnanam. Jnana, vijnana, trupta, atma. Atma means the one, the individual here. Atma here doesn't mean the self. Atma here means the yogi, the individual. The individual who is satisfied with jnanam and vijnanam. So what can give you trupti? What can give you the contentment? Earth, stone, and gold also can give a contentment. What can give you contentment? The earth, the stone, the gold also can give you a contentment. Jnana vijnanam also can give you a contentment. Sir, we can combine both, no? Both the contentment, if we have, we'll have double contentment, no? I have stone, earth, stone, and gold also, and I have jnana vijnanam also. This contentment and this contentment, will I have double contentment? You cannot have double contentment. Why? Because both are in opposite. You cannot do both at the same time. Both are in opposite. Both are in opposite directions. Both are in opposite directions. So, the jnanam is an information. Vijnanam is the information that brought about a conviction, and that conviction made you to do tapas and experience it. That is vijnana. See, information we have, but this information has not brought about a conviction. See, how much ever information you have, how much ever of knowledge you have, mind still doesn't listen, no? Mind is still not cooperating. Mind still doesn't have the Have the conviction. Like a person say, I understand, sir. But if they say but means understanding is not. I understand, sir, but the moment but comes, there's no understanding. What that person is saying is information I understand, but my mind is not willing to accept it. So the information that I have is not turning into a conviction. Only when the information that I have turns into a conviction, I would do tapas and ityadayaha, he says. Tapas and associated things to turn that conviction into an experience. So Vijnanam is information, conviction, having turned that conviction into an experience. And this person who has this jnanam and vijnanam is the one, it's a corollary. Incidentally, the person who has this jnanam and vijnanam alone would be able to help somebody also. So he does favor to himself, and he is the one who will be able to help somebody else also. In the Mundaka Upanishad, he says, Shrotriyam Brahmanishtam. In the Mundaka Upanishad, there is this beautiful mantra. Parikshya Lokan Karmachitan. He goes. Having examined, Pariksha means examined. Having examined the world of activities, he understands something. Having understood this world of activities, he understands something. What does he understand? The dosha in it, he understands. He understands the dosha, the limitations in it. And then Samitpani means then that person turns into a seeker. Samitpani, carrying the faggot sticks, he goes in search of a master who is Shrotriyam and Brahmanishtam. That is Jnanam and Vijnanam. He has the knowledge, and he has the wisdom. Very few have this ability, no? You understand, but it is difficult to explain your understanding. Very few know how to understand and also how to explain and teach. Who's this person here? Jnana Vijnanam. He has this. The tripti he has got not from earth, stone and gold. The tripti he got from Vijnanam. For true contentment comes with Vijnanam. Why? Because all other things can be taken away from you. Your wisdom can never be taken away from you. It gives that tripti because everything else can be taken away from you. The body can be taken away, the eyes can be plucked away, the hands can be cut, the legs can be severed. You may hit against something and lose the memory. Information you can lose. So, all that you have can be taken away from you. Therefore, that which can be lost can never give you tripti. That which can be lost can never give you satisfaction. That is why how much ever you have in life, you never have that satisfaction in life. Why? Because you know that whatsoever you have, it can be lost. And anything that can be lost can never give you that contentment, that satisfaction. And what cannot be lost? Vijnana. Wisdom cannot be lost. Wisdom cannot be lost. How do you say that, sir? What is the example? I'm giving a gross example, which is in no way connected, which you can't compare, but it explains the point. You have learned cycling. 40 years you don't cycle. 41st year you sit on a cycle. You can pedal. You cannot lose it. You have learned swimming, and 40 years you didn't swim. And if you are pushed into water, you swim. That is wisdom. That which cannot be taken away, that which cannot be taken away from you. That which cannot be taken away from you is wisdom. And anything that cannot be taken away from you alone can give you that tripti. In all the rituals that they do, they go on saying, no, tripyata, 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 tripyata. Let everybody gets that contentment, and let everybody gets his contentment, let everybody gets his contentment, and nobody is contented. Why? Contentment doesn't come through this earth, stone, and gold. Contentment comes through jnana, vijnanam. A person who is satisfied with knowledge and wisdom, what happens? He becomes a kutastha. Throughout the Gita, Krishna uses this word kutastha. He likes this word so much. Yeah? Such a beautiful word. Kutastha. Unshaken. Nothing can shake him after that. The roots are so strong that howsoever violent the storm is, howsoever violent the wind is, howsoever strong the wind is, it doesn't get uprooted. That is called kutastha. He says, kutastaha, unshaken. I am that kutastha, he says. Elsewhere in the 10th chapter, he says, I am that kutastha. Unless you hold on to me, unless you latch on to me, you will be shaking all the time. Why? Because if you are not latched on to me, what are you latched on to? That which by nature shakes. If you are attached to something that which by nature shakes, what will happen? You will also be shaking. So beautiful word, kutastha. What happens to this guy here? He becomes a kutastha. This jnanam and vijnanam, technically called, jnanam is seeing through the eyes of others, vijnanam is seeing through your own eyes. Jnanam is seeing through the eyes of others. Temporarily, you can borrow that sight. See, in this classroom, we are seeing life through the eyes of Krishna. And we all will be very wise in the class. After the class is over, we start looking at the world through our eyes. The moment we start looking at the life through our eyes, problem starts. So, Vijnanam is seeing it through your eyes. Jnanam is borrowed. Jnanam is borrowed. And how long borrowing you can do? How long you can borrow? Kudugara varaikkum will borrow, sir. As long as they are giving, we will keep borrowing. No. How long you borrow? After a while, it stops. After a while, it stops working. After a while, it stops working. Therefore, what is jnanam? Borrowed is jnanam. Your own is vijnanam. Technically, it is called paroksha and aparoksha. Jnanam and vijnanam technically is called paroksha and aparoksha. Don't worry about the Sanskrit words. What it means is you see it. So he is beautifully talking about a yogi and what he has done also. Who is a yogi? Two definitions he is giving to a yogi in the same verse, not from any other verse. In this verse, two definitions to a yogi. What are the two definitions to a yogi? The one who has mastered his senses, to whom earth, stone, and gold are the same. He is a yogi. Okay. And then satisfied with knowledge and wisdom, who remains unshaken. Now, I am talking about the knowledge and wisdom who remains unshaken. For we have mastering the senses and all, we have seen so much that one more time I talk about sense control, we will lose our control. Yeah. Because so much has been spoken about sense control. So I'm moving on to Jnanam and Vijnanam. And what is this? Kutastha. So Jnanam is you see through your eyes. Jnanam is seeing through the eyes of the Shastras. Vijnanam is seeing through your own eyes. Till you see it through your own eyes, you can only claim that you have knowledge. You don't have wisdom. A person who has knowledge and who doesn't have wisdom is a person who has knowledge and who doesn't have wisdom is a scholar. He becomes a scholar. He has knowledge. He has all the information. A person who gives a lecture on the ill effects of smoking and that person is smoking, what would you call that person? He gives an ill effect. He can give a lecture on the ill effects of smoking. Listening to him, a few would have quit smoking. But this fellow is not able to quit smoking and he's continuing to smoke. And that person says, I know the ill effects of smoking. You all don't smoke. I know the ill effects of smoking. You all don't smoke. That doesn't make any sense at all. That doesn't make any sense at all. That is the difference between Jnanam and Vijnanam. Jnanam is looking at Brahman as separate from you. Vijnanam is saying, I am Brahman. What is Tripti means? Tripti is a state where you don't miss anything in life. That is the state of Tripti. What is Tripti? Contentment. You don't miss anything. Such a exalted state to be in where you don't miss anything. Opposite of that is to say, at least I don't miss other things, but after death, what will happen? Because death means you are missing your body. No. What is death? What is death? Losing your body, missing your body. And then you will say, oh my God, I miss my body. No, sir. Tripti is a state where a person does not miss anything in life, including, if you are not missing your own body, then what else will you miss outside? A deep internal satisfaction, which is Kutastha, unshaken, is Tripti. A deep internal satisfaction, which is unshaken, is called a state of contentment. And if you look at everybody's life, everybody wants this contentment. Everybody wants to be in this contented state only. Everybody wants to reach this state where they want to remain unaffected. They do not want to miss anything. They do not want to be disturbed. and simply wanting it, you will not get it. Simply saying, I want it, I want it, I want it, you will not get it. Uddaredatmanatmanam. If you want it, lift. If you want it, lift yourself up. How can you lift yourself up with your shoelace? How can you lift yourself up? How can you lift yourself up? You can't lift yourself up. The person says, I can't lift, sir. I can't lift. I have tried and I have given up. This Uddared Atmanatmanam, in one of the contexts, Swamiji gave this example, beautiful example. We want the Shastras to give knowledge and Vijnanam. We want the Shastras to give Jnanam and we want the Shastras to give Vijnanam. Yeah. I don't tell the teacher, I don't tell the Guru, please lift me up. You have lifted yourself up, no? Since you have lifted yourself up, why can't you lift me also? He says, I can only lift myself. I can't lift you. You have to lift yourself. You have to lift yourself. Some of the mountaineering institutes, they have rooms at the first floor level. I don't know whether you know it or not. Some of the institutes have it. They have rooms at the first floor level and no staircases. And no staircases. You have to use ropes only. You have to use the rope to climb up. You have to use the rope to climb down. Does anybody know that? Anything we ask, if you know, if you say, I don't know, Nana, then what do we? Yeah. What example can be given then? No examples can be given. So in the mountaineering institutes, correct, no? Huh? Correct. Teju agreed because he is a mountaineer, so she knows. Correct, no? Yeah, she has seen. Otherwise, they say you keep all your stories you talk, sir, imaginary stories you give, and make us believe also that it is. They have levels, and there is only rope. Why? Because you have to use the rope to go up. You have to use the rope to come down every day. That is exercises. Before you are asked to climb the mountain, straight away you climb the mountain. What will happen? Straight away, if you climb the mountain, what will happen? Swamiji said very beautifully, he said, basket lada, we have to collect you. He said, we will be collecting you in a basket. What will happen? You will fall. And when you fall, what you will be left behind? So, you climb every day. Every day, you train yourself through the rope. You climb up, you climb down. You climb up, you climb down. A person who didn't do that, there are 15 students. And after 6 months, they are all taken to an actual climbing the mountain. When they all went to climb, one fellow, somehow he managed. Even if you didn't train, somehow he has managed. Halfway through he reached, 25 feet he reached. He's saying, I can't do it anymore. He's saying, I can't do it anymore. If you have done the training properly, what they would have done? Somewhere he can hold and rest for a few minutes and then gather strength and climb up. Are you able to follow? Somewhere he can hold, because some crevices will be there. He can use his toe, he can use his hands, he can use his thumb, and peg himself for a few minutes, gather rest, gather strength, and climb. That fellow, sir, he went 25 feet. Now he is looking at the Guru and saying, lift me up. Lift me up. What the Guru can do? What the Guru can do? Because he himself is hanging on another rope, no? What is the Guru? He is also hanging on another rope. How can you fall on him? Both will fall down. Piggyback and all cannot be done. He cannot, no, I will come and sit on, I will come and sit on you. From there you carry. The Guru says, in your own welfare, don't give up, hold on, don't give up, hold on, don't give up, hold on. For your own welfare, he says, don't give up, don't give up, hold on, hold on. And the boy, after a while, says, I can't, and he gives up. Boy says, I can't, and he gives up. He asked, what will happen to that boy? We have to collect him in a. He said, okay, you go down. After we come back, we will collect you in a basket. It cannot be done any other. It cannot be done in any other way. Why? Because the jnanam cannot give you that trupti. That vijnanam alone can give you that contentment. Because vijnanam is that which cannot be taken away from you. Vijnanam is that which can never be taken away from you. You remain unshaken. All of us have our areas of shaking and areas of not shaking. No, everybody, all of us have our areas of where we shake, where we don't shake. If you examine the areas where we don't shake, what is it that is happening there that we are not shaking there? And if you examine the areas of where we are shaking, what is it that is happening that we are shaking? This is jnanam vijnanam. Another example, jnanam vijnanam. He says, we are all very good philosophers as long as problem is somebody else's. We are all very good philosophers as long as problem is somebody else's, because jnanam is enough there. To handle your thing, you need vijnanam. To handle your thing, you need vijnanam. And it's not, vijnanam comes through a process of reflection, assimilation, digestion. That is why the importance that we give to Shravana, more importance is given to Manana, reflection. Because Jnanam becomes Vijnanam only through reflection. Now carefully follow. Why Jnanam doesn't turn into Vijnanam? Because of the mind's doubts. Because of the mind's doubts, Jnanam doesn't turn into Vijnanam. Reflection clears the doubts of the mind. Therefore, it turns into a conviction. The knowledge remains the same. The doubts keeps coming, and for each and every doubt that keeps coming, there is an answer that is given. And when the doubts are removed, clarity becomes better. So, how does jnanam turns into vijnanam? By the removal of doubts. That's why it's called samshaya nivritti. The removal of doubts. When doubts are removed, jnanam turns into vijnanam. This person who has gotten the state of Vijnanam remains unperturbed, unaffected, undisturbed, changeless. What is Kutastha? Long back we gave this formula. The frequency, the intensity, the recovery. The frequency of the affectations, the intensity of the affectations, and the recovery of the recovery time. And why it is equated to Kutastha? Kutastha is the a piece of metal is constantly hammered, anvil, and shaped. The metal is constantly hammered and shaped, whereas the base remains the same. That is Kutastha. The base that remains unchanged is called Kutastha. Elsewhere he says, Kutastho abhi uchyate. When he talks about the Kshara, Akshara, Uttama Purusha, he brings about this Kutastha example again and says, it is that unchanging factor upon which these changes happens, and changes do not affect these changes do not affect. He remains unperturbed. What is the hammer? You cannot escape the hammer. You cannot escape the hammer. Ramakrishna Paramahamsa gives this example. A stone that escaped the pains of the hammer, everybody will stamp on it. The stone that went through the pains of hammer, everybody worships it, he says. Beautiful example. Ramakrishna Paramahamsa gives this example. The stone that avoided the pain of hammer, it remains that stone also will be used. And what that stone will be used for? As a stepstone in the temple, he says. The other stone that went through the pain of hammering would be decorated, would be taken around in a procession, and everybody worships it. Both are same, both are stone. This is Ramakrishna Paramahamsa's example. Both are stone. What is the difference between the two stones? One stood the pain of hammering, other couldn't stand that pain, and it couldn't stand that pain. It gave up. And the person who has given up becomes the guiding factor to others. Ellam try pannadingo sir, it will not work because I have tried. The person who has failed becomes a person who guides the. It doesn't work that way. Jnanam and Vijnanam. Who is he? He is a Vijitendriya. Vijitendriya means one who has mastered the senses. One who has mastered the senses. Jitendra, Vijitendra, who has completely mastered, controlled. Yuktaha iti uchyate. Yuktaha iti uchyate. It means what? He is an organized, integrated, Jivan Mukta, unperturbed life he lives. That's what he is. He's a well-organized person. He's well integrated. He's a well-organized person. He's an any word you can use. Vedanta uses the word Jivan Mukta. He is liberated. He is liberated. Now, Samatvam. He alone enjoys equanimity under all conditions. Not that he doesn't know the difference between the two conditions. He knows and understands the difference between the two conditions, but unaffected by these two conditions. Samaloštashma kanchanaha. Loštha means earth. Asma is gold. Asma is stone. Kanchana is gold. Kanchana, Kamini, we talk about, no? Kanchana means gold. He is not tempted by any of, he is not tempted by any of them. Vijnanam shows your worth independent of acquisitions. Jnanam says that you are worthy only with acquisitions. It's as simple as that. Vijnanam teaches your worthiness independent of acquisitions. Jnanam teaches that you are worthy only with acquisition. A person adding value to, are you able to follow? A person adding value to his adding value to him through acquisitions feels he is worthless. He is so worthless that only acquisitions can bring value to him. Vijnanam says, acquisitions, they come and go, your worth remains the same. Are you able to see the difference? Vijnanam says, acquisitions come and go, but your true worth remains the same. What is your true worth? Tattvamasi Shvetvaketu. What is your true worth? Tattvamasi Shvetvaketu. That remains the same. When you know that value, what happens to earth coming and going? What happens to gold coming and going? What happens to anything coming and going? Like a Kutastha, you remain unaffected. Are you able to see the difference? Jnanamkum, Vijnanamkum. Otherwise, how do you? I'm trying to give some differences between Jnanam and Vijnanam. Some differences I'm trying to explain. What is the difference between Jnanam and Vijnanam? You feel you are worthless and acquisitions adds value to you is Jnanam. That is why that's why we acquire, we want to acquire more and more and more, because acquisitions adds value. Vijnanam says he knows his worthiness. Who is a Jnani? Who is a Jivan Mukta? Who is a Kutastha? Who is a Yogi? Krishna is saying he knows his worth irrespective of the external. That is why a Ashtavakra with such a defective body was able to walk without, he was able to walk around without any, difficulty. Why? Because he knew his intrinsic worth. If you pitch your worth on your body, you will suffer. If you pitch your worth on your emotions, you will suffer. If you pitch your worth on the knowledge, the intellect, the information, you will suffer. It is a law. You may agree, you may not agree. You may accept, you may not accept. But the law doesn't change, no. What is Vijnanam? Vijnanam says, these come and go, but my worthiness remains the same. Apuryamanam machala pratishtam. All this has been said already. The same thing keeps repeating. Apuryamanam achala pratishtam. Samudramapah pravishanti yadvat tatvat kamayam. Tadvat kamayam. This man is like the samudra. This This commas, this objects entering and leaving makes, these objects entering and leaving makes no difference. If at all you want to distinguish between jnanam and vijnanam, understand it in this way also. Vijnanam means you know your true worthiness without any, irrespective of the acquisitions, you know your intrinsic value. That is vijnanam. Jnanam is you know your worthiness only. The acquisition is that which brings value to you. Are you able to see the difference? If acquisition is that which is going to bring some value to you, you can never attain contentment. You can never achieve contentment. You can never be at tripti. Why? Why? All that is product of action. If you stop acting, you will lose it. All that is a product of action. If you stop acting, you will lose it. You may be an expert in it. You may be an expert in it. You may be an expert in it. This skills that you acquire, you know that if you don't keep up to it, you lose it. If you don't keep up to it, you lose it. Acquisition means that which is a product of action has to be sustained, maintained by continuous action. And if you stop acting, you will lose it. So any acquisition can never give you that tripti, because the law is what? That which is a product of action will be lost if you stop acting. It's a law. Again, I repeat, what is the law? That which is a product of action, if you stop acting, you will lose it. A surgeon who doesn't perform surgery for 5 years, he will lose it. Know some languages and you don't use it at all, you lose it. You lose it. One of my certificates says my efficiency in German language is very high. My certificate says that. Because in this Max Muller Bhavan I studied and I got this German, and my uncle is sitting outside. He is the one who made me study. He said, you should study at least one language you should know, and he made me study a few languages. Studied the German language, gotten the certification and all that. Three years back, in 3 years back, in Frankfurt airport, when I was talking to that lady in German, she answered me back in English. I was talking to her in German, she answered me in English. It means what? That which is a product of action, I didn't do anything for decades, it's lost. It's lost. Anything is like that. Therefore, in that which comes as a product, that which is a product of action, which is an acquisition, has to be maintained by continuous action. And if you lose it, if you stop acting, you lose it. Earth, gold, stone, everything in life belongs to this category. There is something which is the kutastha, which is not the product of, action, which is your own nature, and recognizing your nature is not an action. It is pure. That is called vijnanam. Recognition is not an action or acquisition. Recognition is vijnanam. Wearing the glasses, you search for the glasses. Sometimes it happens, no? You'll be wearing the glasses and searching, where is my glass? Where is my glass? The person looks. The grandchild comes and says, then what is it that you are? Then what is it that you are wearing? Oh, inge dhaan irukudha. Recognition is vijnana. Recognizing what? Recognizing your true nature. Recognizing your true nature. In recognizing your true nature, you know your true worthiness also. For a person who has recognized his true worthiness, earth, stone, gold, all remains the same. To that person who has recognized his worthiness. And worthiness should be an intrinsic nature. Acquired worthiness is not real worthiness. Yeah. Fame is a slow decay. He says, no, fame. Fame is nothing but a slow decay because it is acquired. And anything that is acquired, you are going to lose it. Yeah. Some fellow making some remark is enough to lose. Yeah. Some posting in the media is enough to bring all the things crashing down. No? Are you able to follow? Why? Because all that is a product of acquisition. Your true worthiness is not. Recognize your true worthiness. Jnana, vijnana, truptatma, samaloštashma kanchanaha. One who has conquered his senses. What is the hammer? What is the hammer that he willingly went through? Lift yourself by yourself is beautiful because you can chisel yourself. If somebody is chiseling you another, it is pain. You chisel yourself. That is uddared atmanatmanam. You chisel yourself. Human being has this ability. Somebody from outside need not come and hammer you. If somebody from outside is hammering you, it is pain and suffering. When you can shape yourself, when you can chisel yourself, this is called lift yourself by yourself. Dared atmanatmanam atmanam vadharaye. You raise yourself by yourself and let you not lower yourself by yourself. Don't lower yourself. How do you lower yourself? How do you lower yourself? 2 steps you take and then you give up. That is lowering yourself. What does lowering yourself means? Supposing if you don't get up at all, there's no problem, no? Where is lowering after that? You are already in the lowest point. Where is lowering after that? But what the human being does, it tries to lift himself up and then he gives up. He tries to lift himself up and he gives up. Dared atmanatmanam. You raise yourself by yourself. Never lower yourself. Never lower yourself means never give up. If it is a strain, like the mountaineering fellow is taught, hang on at that level. How you rise? You go 25 feet. Obviously, that rise of 25 feet will ease an effort. Obviously, it is an effort. Obviously, it is a struggle. It's known. It's so obvious. What you should not do, hang on at that level, hang on. Hang on at that level. Don't give up. Punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam, punarapi janani, jatare shayanam. This giving up is what gives birth to again birth, again death. Again and again going through the cycle. For what? You go 4 steps above, you say I am fatigued and you give up, you come crashing down, and then you pick yourself up, again go 3 steps, come down. Never. Who's a yogi? Yogi is one who never gives up. After a few climbs, you need a rest. You can't keep continuously climbing. It is obvious. After a few climbs, you need a rest. But peg yourself at that level. Don't give up and come down. Say, I will hold on here. In Mahabharata, the climax of Mahabharata is that. It's a huge epic, no? Maha itself means huge, big. The end of the huge story, the climax of that huge story, such a complex networks of characters, and each and every character is interconnected. You know, in a movie, if you see an average movie, how many characters will be in that movie? Do you know, in an average movie, 10, 12 characters, that's all. It will be interwoven around that. And some will be in the background, they just come and go, that's all. Mahabharata has some 700 characters, all are interconnected. Nobody suddenly disappears, sir. Such a beautiful story it is. And the climax of the story has to be extraordinarily beautiful. And it is extraordinarily beautiful. What is the climax of Mahabharata story? Krishna is dead and gone. Krishna is dead and gone. You lived with a person like Krishna. After he is gone, you will not feel like you will, no? So what they did, the Pandavas gave the kingdom to Parikshit. They say, you carry on, and they all started the long walk. Single file, long walk in the Himalayas. One behind the other, they are walking. That's the climax, Mahabharata. Draupadi saying, I am not able to walk anymore. I am giving up. Draupadi says, I am giving up. She cries to Yudhishthira and says, lift me up from here. I want to walk with you. Lift me up from here, lift me up. Yudhishthira said, take that extra 2 steps and come to where I am. From here, I will carry you. I will not take 2 steps back. Uddared atmanatmanam atmanam vadare. I will not take 2 steps back and come to you. You have enough energy to take the 2 steps. Take the 2 steps and come to me. From here, I will carry you. And some of you know the story. Draupadi could not take the 2 steps. She collapsed. All the 5 brothers said, she is collapsed. Yudhishthira said, keep walking. Heartless man he is. Heartless fellow he is. He said, keep walking. Keep walking. Uddared atmanatmanam. Keep walking. Sahadeva cried and said, I am exhausted. I can't. Yudhishthira said, take the 2 steps and come to me. From here, I will carry you. And Sahadeva could not take the 2 steps, he collapsed. Nakula collapsed. The great Arjuna collapsed. 2 fellows are walking, Yudhishthira and Bhima. Bhima tells Yudhishthira, what? I can't take the 2 steps. Lift me up. I am giving up. Come back and lift me from where I am. Yudhishthira said, same answer. Take the 2 steps and come to me. From here I will carry you. Not for anything, you go 1 step back. Not for anything in life, you go 1 step back. And if you take that 1 step back, you have lowered yourself. If you take that 1 step back, you have lowered yourself. Again, you have to put in all the effort to come back to where? To come back to where? The same point that you are in now. You are not going to grow anywhere. All the effort that you have to put is to come back to where you are right now. Why fail and come back to the same point where you are? Just hold on. Just hold on. He is a yogi. That person is a yogi. That is the hammer that turns the jnanam into vijnanam. That's the hammer. That's the hammer. And hammering is always, you hammer me, sir, but without pain. Painless hammering. Is it possible? Hammering itself means there is pain. That's what he says. Vijitendriyaha, one who has mastered his sense organs, who has seen the dosha of everything. Seeing the dosha, limitations of your obsessions is hammering. Okay, hammering and all is nicer. What is it? How do you connect it now? Yeah, I have to connect with what I started. No. Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadi, Dukkha, Doshanu, Darshanam. You are able to see the dosha in that. You are able to see the defect in it. What is the dosha? What is the defect? The limitations. And ask yourself, do you want to be obsessed still? See the limitations and then ask yourself, do you still want to be obsessed? Yes, no, be obsessed, no problem. There's no problem after that. Dukkha, he says, Anudarshanam. Darshanam means seeing. Anudarshanam means seeing it very clearly. What? The dosha, the defect. What is the dosha defect? Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadi. See that. To see it in the areas of your obsession is hammering. And who has to hammer? You have to hammer yourself. You have to hammer yourself. That's why I hammer myself very softly. Because when I'm hammering other, I can hammer very strongly. But when I hammer myself, hammer very softly. And that soft hammering itself is so painful that I want to give up. Jnana Vijnana Triptatma Kutasto Vijitendriyaha Yukta Ityuchyate Yogi Samaloshtasma Kanchana. He sees all this as equal, remaining unaffected. Remains unaffected, like the Kutastha. Are you able to understand this verse? Like the Kutastha. What is Jnanam? The eyes of others. Vijnanam, your eyes. What is Jnanam? Your worthiness through acquisitions. That's why neti, neti, neti. You say this is not my worth. This is not my worth. What is your worth? I have to show my bank balance. No, that is not your worth. What is your worth? The parivar that I have around me, I have to show. What is your worth? That is jnanam. Assessing your worthiness through these acquisitions is jnanam. Vijnanam is whether they are there or not, your intrinsic worth remains the same. That doesn't change. That is vijnanam. Jnanam is knowing there is consciousness. Vijnanam is saying, I am that consciousness. See, there is a difference, no? There is God versus saying, see, there is Brahman versus saying, Aham Brahmasmi. There is a difference, no? Jnanam is saying there is Brahman. Vijnanam is saying, Aham Brahmasmi. How do you do that? Hammer. Lift yourself by yourself and do not lower yourself. See, you can talk about lowering. Do not lower yourself. To whom you can talk about, do not lower yourself. To a person who has started lifting him up, no? A person who has not yet lifted at all, what will you say? First, get up. Here we are talking to a person who is in the process of lifting himself up, but wants to give up. Why that person wants to give up? Because of the pain. Because you want to give up because you are not able to handle the pain. They say, don't give up, hang in there. That's why they say, no, just hang on here, help is coming. Help, hang in there. Help comes and lifts you up to the next level. That is Shraddha. You hang in there. What gives you the strength to hang in there? Shraddha gives you the strength to hang in there. Because help will come and simply lifts you up to the next level. Kutastha he becomes. What is Kutastha? Not missing anything in life. He doesn't miss anything in life. That is Kutastha. Opposite of that is always missing something. Nothing, except these classes, I don't miss anything, sir. Something you have to miss, no. What difference does it make what you miss? Wisdom is where you don't miss anything. This is verse number 8. With this, we conclude verse number 8. Anything is there to...
Yes, one clarification. Bharat has a clarification.
Bharat da eject பண்ணிட்டோமே நம்ம already. Bharat, what is your... Yes. What is your clarification? Jnanam plus introspection is Vijnanam. Yes, you can say that. You can say, Bharat, that's what you are asking, no?
Yes. I asked after that you clarified, Guruji, so thank you.
Yeah, correct. Yes, Shravana plus Manana turns into Vijnana. Shravana alone is Jnanam. Manana Nididhyasana turns the information into Vijnana.
Now, the point I was trying to make, so everywhere in the books, they mention about Jnanam.
Yes.
Vijnanam, for a change, this particular verse, they have mentioned.
Yes.
And from what I understood so far, of course, I have to think through more, Manana, but what I understood is Vijnanam is definitely at a higher value than Jnanam.
Yes.
Because Jnanam is more like acquiring knowledge, for example.
Yes.
And you have to do a lot of manana based on the knowledge you acquire, and then you become Vijnana. But the scriptures don't mention anybody as Vijnani. They call only the Jnani.
Yes.
And even when I look at the yogi, definition of yogi, it is jnani and yogi.
Yes.
So my question or my doubt is why the scriptures don't talk too much about Vijnani or Vijnanam.
Now,
That's
yeah, they don't.
am I clear, sir?
Yes, Bharat. Yes, clear. Throughout, they use the word jnanam to mean Vijnanam. Wherever jnanam is mentioned, as I said in the beginning, these two words, jnanam and Vijnanam, meaning itself keeps changing according to the context, just as the meaning of the word Atma keeps changing according to the context. In some context, Atma means Brahman. In some context, Atma means subtle body. In some context, Atma means ghosts, no? In some context, Atma means ghost also. Now, how can one word has so many meanings? Now, that is the very style of the Shastras itself. So, whenever they use the word Jnanam, in some context, they mean only information. And when they mean Jnani, they mean a Jivan Mukta, a Vijnani. Actually, they should be called as Vijnani only. இப்போ நிறைய விஞ்ஞானிஸ் இருக்காங்க இல்லையா நம்ம ஊர்ல. Lot of Vijnanis are there now, no? So they should be, but then the word Jnani itself means Vijnani. And predominantly they use the word Jnanam because it is closer to the root word. Jnanam, Vijnanam, Jneyam, Jnanam, Vijnanam, all has the same root. To see it as it is. It comes from and the Panini's grammar lam, if you read that meaning of the word Jnanam, such a beautiful explanation he gives. To see it as it is. To see it as it is, not what I want it to be or not what I want to see it as. So, Jnani keeps it very, very much closer. So, therefore, in a very loose way, they always use the word Jnani. In the context of Uddared Atmanatmanam, he has to bring in the difference. So, this Jnanam and Vijnanam is used specifically in the context of Purushartha, the self-effort. Moving from information to transformation. Is it okay, Bharat? Yeah. Anything else?
Prasanna.
Yes, Prasanna.
Unmute Prasanna.
Is he there?
Yeah, he's there.
Prasanna, yes.
Unmute yourself.
Venkatachalam has something.
Guruji, I have a question. So what I understood, it's more of a reflection in this stage.
Yes.
Only a truly self-realized person is a jnani.
Yes.
No, so you have to be in that state, and that's a state of no return.
Yes.
And in the traditional, conventional worldly knowledge, there is no one who can be called a wise man, truly.
Correct.
Because wise man, from a Vedantic perspective, is only a self-realized person.
Correct.
So that's what I wanted to. It's more of a confirmation.
Yes. That is why it is called Veda Anta, the end of knowledge.
Okay.
In the worldly sense, Veda Anta is not possible in the worldly knowledges.
Yes. So
In worldly knowledges, Anta doesn't
there's no end.
exist at all. Anta doesn't come at all. More you know, that much more to be known. More you know,
Yes.
so there is no Anta at all in worldly knowledges. So here we call it as Veda
Anta.
Anta. We say there is an end. There is an end. That's what we are talking about here. There is an end to the knowledge. The very word Veda plus Anta itself is so much of reflection has to be done on these two words itself.
And it is not just an intellectual understanding.
No,
It
it's
is
not intellectual understanding. That is why I
it is
said intellectual
it's only from
understanding-
experience.
Yes. Intellectual understanding is borrowed.
Yes.
For even the intellect borrows it from somebody and says, I know. No.
Yes. That's right.
Even intellectual knowledge is borrowed knowledge. It's not one's own.
Yes.
One's own. That is why one's own is Aham Brahmasmi is
One's own self, truth, understanding the true nature.
Is it okay, Venkatachalam?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Prasanna.
Unmute now, Prasanna.
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Sir, Hari Om, sir. Actually, I have a doubt. I just wanted to confirm if we are in the path of Vedanta, does it stop us from venturing into any worldly activities?
No, it doesn't prevent us from venturing into worldly activities. It says you venture into the worldly activities with the full understanding of what it is. Understand the nature of it and then venture. In fact, all activities are worldly only. Activity itself means it is worldly by nature. There is no two different activities. So activity itself means worldly by nature. And what does it mean when we say should you not pursue worldly activities? All activities has to be pursued with the understanding of the dosha in it. Understanding the dosha in it, understanding the limitation of it, understanding the defects in it, then only you should pursue. Why? Because all that you pursue in the world has a dosha, all that you pursue in the world has a defect, all that you pursue in the world has a limitation. Having accepted that limitation, you have to pursue. For as long as you are alive, you have to keep acting. That's where the dilemma of thing itself. If all has dosha in it, if all has limitations and defect in it, why not run away from everything? Why do anything at all then? That choice we don't have at all. So you are told that you have to pursue it, you have to do it with the full understanding that it has its own
Dosha.
Dosha in it, limitations of it. So in that sense, Vedanta says, pursue the activities. You cannot avoid the activities because of the dosha in it. Arjuna saw the dosha of the battlefield. In chapter 1, what happened? Arjuna saw the dosha of the battlefield, the defect of the battlefield, the limitations of the war. Arjuna saw very clearly. And what he did, what he wanted to do after that?
You wanted to run away.
He wanted to run away. Krishna said, seeing that limitation is correct, Arjuna, but running away is not acceptable. Why? Because wherever you go, you will be doing an activity, including running away itself isn't. Even this running away is also an activity. So what are you doing, actually speaking? Therefore, you do your activity with the understanding that by nature it is limited. Dosha means understanding the limitations and still doing it. And the very fact that you have understood the limitations and doing it makes it a child's play, Leela. Kshipram hi manushe loke, he says. Third chapter. Success is very easy in this world. Why? Because you have understood the limitations. Once you have understood the limitation, it is so easy to play that game. You will not get. There is no worry, there is no anxiety, there is no worry of loss, there is no anxiety for all that becomes a leela, a sport, a child's play. So worldly activities must be a child's play, not one of stress and strain, is Vedanta vision. சரியா? Yeah.
So the point is, so the point is, we have to first prepare ourselves, and then we have to venture into something. We have to
yes,
develop our intellect, and then we must.
Exactly correct. Yes. Before venturing, before I jump into the water, I should assess the depth of the water and jump. I can't say I will jump. Poga poga, I will assess and I will get drowned very soon. That's what people are doing. That's what people are doing. Vedanta says, have some fair idea and then jump. With this, we conclude for today, and we continue verse number 9 onwards in the next session.